I'm Carrie, and this is Student Loan Chit-Chat. I am pretty much fresh out of the gym, so I thought I would shoot out another video for you. I know the students here in Tampa, Florida, we go back to school on Monday, so I will do my absolute best to try to keep the uploads as regular as possible so I don't get too far behind. But I am shooting for at least an upload once a week. I would try to say twice a week, but let's start with once a week and see how we do with that, okay? So anyways, today's topic I would like to talk about, basically over the last 8 years, I've been getting my hair done by cosmetology students, all right? And I really want to talk to you about how they have, I would say, helped shape, modify my views about student loan debt and why it is that there is so much debt and what we can actually do about it, okay? I'm not going to solve the world's problems in this video, but I am going to at least share the discussions I've had over about 8 years with cosmetology students. I don't really want to say where I get my hair done, but it's been at the same location, and that's been really kind of neat because I go in there about every 2.5 to 3 months, and I get to watch the students as they move through the class. Because for those of you, especially if you're trying to save money, you should look and see if the area that you live in has a cosmetology school, also known as beauty school, okay? But I think it's more professionally called cosmetology school, but I might interchangeably use the word at times, okay? But cosmetology school, you should see if they have one in your area, because man, the savings are huge. I probably save 50 to 60% on hairstyling services, and that also includes barbershop as well, okay, by having students do it. And of course there are instructors right there and all of that stuff, and many of the students, by the time they get to working with clients, they've already gone through the book and paper section, and now they're working for their hours. So if you are trying to save money, look and see if your area has a cosmetology school for you to attend that's open to the public. The students appreciate it, and your wallet will absolutely love it, okay? Anyways, being a customer at the same place for the last 8 years, I've had a chance to talk to quite a few of the students and their experience in cosmetology school. And I think part of the reason they talk to me pretty openly is, one, I'm a little bit older than they are, because most of them are in their late teens, very, very early 20s. And so it's pretty easy for them, I think, to feel comfortable. Hopefully, I think they feel pretty comfortable talking to me because they've seen me there for so long. So one is the age split of me being 55, talking to people in their early 20s. They see me as kind of an authority figure, somebody comfortable. So I'm able to discuss things with them that perhaps they might not discuss with somebody younger. So I take that as a great privilege. But one of the things that I've talked about with them over years and years at this point is basically why they chose to go to cosmetology school and how it has financially impacted them. So this is just a basic observation and summary of these conversations I've had with students. And again, I'm going to keep the school kind of private, okay? But the first thing that comes to my mind when I think of the conversations I've had with cosmetology students, they seem a lot less stressed than typical college students. Now, when I think college students, I'm thinking your 4-year college student, okay? And that can actually include the student going to a 2-year community college onto a 2-year university, or it may just include the student going to a straight 4-year university. But one of the things I notice is the stress level of these students is greatly diminished compared to their collegiate counterparts. And when I say diminished, I'm not saying they aren't busy. I'm not saying that they aren't, cramming for their tests and all of that. But I think part of the reason, and again, this is just all my observations through my discussions, okay? But from what I observe, part of that reason is the school training program, it's only about 1.5 years long. they're basically in and out. It's come in, learn a skill trade, okay, from the ground up. And a lot of them, by the way, include barbershop students. We have hair and nails, and anything that deals with cosmetology. So for those who may not be as familiar, we can't assume that everybody is familiar with cosmetology, but it's your hair, your nails, your entry level, perhaps spa stuff, okay, because they do facial massage, but that would be probably the more entry level of that section. But it's the serious hair, nails, barber shop. That's the stuff, okay? I don't like to assume that everybody knows what every degree entails, okay? And there's more to cosmetology than that, but where the students are doing, at the place that I go to, that's what they focus on. So, but the thing is because it's only a year and a half that they're in school, up to maybe a maximum of 2 years, I find that their stress level just seems to be, it's greatly diminished. And I think, again, that's because you're talking a year and a half. You're talking about a 15 to 18 month program. You're not talking a 4-year commitment. So while they are busy, it's almost as if when they enter the program, within just 6 months, they can see the end of the tunnel. And for some students, this is really important. They need that short-term, goal. They need that short-term motivation. I've come to realize, and I've always known this, but dealing with cosmetology students, not everybody can pull through a 4-5 year degree program. There are many students, they're burned out after a year and a half, and don't even talk about more than 2 years. They're burned out. But for many students, when they enter a program, if you can say, hey, you know what, look, 12 months, I need you to put 12 to 15 months in, you got this, we can do it. There are many students that is a perfect amount of time. They can do that. So for some of these students, a lot of them, they love the fact that the courses are short, or the program, the overall program is short. And I've talked to some of them and they're like, I would never want to do a 4 or 5 year, program. So that's one of the benefits. It seems the overall decreased stress because the time commitment isn't there. And not everybody has the personality or the motivation to be, committed to a 4 or 5 year program. And that is okay. The other thing that I've also noticed is the debt. And of course, this is the Student Loan Chit-Chat channel, and it would be, wrong of me to even skip talking about the student loan debt. But here's the one thing I've noticed. They are not as stressed out with the debt that they have to take on to get through cosmetology school. They're just not. And again, maybe it's because I'm older, they're willing to discuss, finances with me. And I've been able to just say to them directly, so, what's your student loan? They're coming out, I would say average, probably around 10 to 12,000. I think the high might be 20,000. Have I ever sat in the chair yet? And again, I'm there every 3 months, and I've been at the same spot about every 3 months for 8 years. Okay, so I'm not an occasional customer. I'm very much a regular. I haven't talked to one cosmetology student yet that has said to me, there's no way I can pay off this bill. There's just no way. I've got a 6-figure cosmetology debt, and it doesn't matter what I do. I keep gaining interest on the interest. I can never pay off this debt. In fact, it's the exact opposite. The students that I have spoken to almost seem as if, not that they don't think the debt is important, okay? They know they need to pay it off. But because the payoff is so, the amount borrowed is so low, you're talking 10, 15,000. Many of them already are in a job that are able to pay off the bill while they're in cosmetology school. In other words, not all of these students are having to accrue huge amounts of student loan debt to learn this trade. And I think, again, this contributes greatly to why they seem less stressed. And again, I am not saying that cosmetology is a cakewalk. I don't think it is. It's probably got more science with hair chemicals and stuff. I've discussed this with the students too. It's more science than some students plan on when they come in. They're like, oh my goodness. One student said to me, she goes, we've had students come in and not realize you need to understand how chemicals react with each other. And I'm like, yeah, that's probably a good idea. So it does have its technicals. But again, these students I've never had a student in 8 years say to me they weren't sure how they were going to pay off their student loan debt. In fact, the majority of them are actually just paying it off as they go to school. Because again, you're talking maybe 10 to 15,000, 20,000 tops. I have never spoken to a cosmetology student as I've been sitting in the chair that has said to me, I'm walking out with $50,000. I'm walking out with $100,000. I have $150,000. I have $200,000. It's never happened. And the majority of them are able to work and go to school. So that's another factor. Another thing that I noticed about these cosmetology students, which I was just, what's the word? Tickled when I started observing this. A lot of them come into cosmetology school with the skill already in hand. Like they already know how to do this. And I've oftentimes have said to students, the way you're doing my hair, okay, and you're a student, I said, but you clearly have the skills of someone who's been doing this longer than a year. I would say 70%, 80% will say to me, oh, well, yeah, I've been doing this since I was in middle school, or my mother started teaching me how to do hair when I was 12. And we're not talking simple haircuts, folks. We're talking complicated braids, complicated weaves. Okay, we are not talking, no insult to supercuts. Okay, but we're because I've had my hair cut many times at supercuts. Okay, but we're not talking just straight haircuts. No, we're talking the complex hair designs, the colorings, the weavings, and all that stuff. Right, the weaves. And I've had many of them go, oh yeah, I've been doing this for years. I had one lady, she did it, and the only reason she was going to cosmetology school is she wanted to be able to open up a legitimate business at her house, and she knew she needed a license. She was already an expert at it. Okay, she could braid knots. Everything that most of us, might have to spend years in beauty school doing, she'd been doing it. I think she said since she was like 12, 13 years old. A lot of these students have a natural knack, a natural gift for the area of cosmetology they go into. And this includes the guys. Okay, this includes the guys that are learning their barbershop trade. Okay, so you sit there and I have to think to myself, they're coming in, they already know they love this trade craft, they're honing their skill, they're doing it at a budget that will allow them to pay it off in just a couple of years if they aren't already working and paying as they go along. Okay, because it's really in the realm of debt education, okay, the debt and the student loan that's taken on, it's a cakewalk, okay? And again, when I say cakewalk, it doesn't mean a $18,000 cosmetology bill can't be a stressor to a student. Of course it can, but it's $18,000. It's not $118,000. Okay, so you begin to find that a lot of these students already have the basis down and they're just honing these skills. And what I've asked, because I'm kind of chatty in the salon chair, surprise, surprise, I'm sure, right? But when I asked them, so why did you decide to go into cosmetology school? They're like, well, I've been doing this for a long time and I just thought it'd be nice to start getting paid to do something that I like. And here's the other thing. You can't outsource the job. This type of job cannot be outsourced. And something that I've discussed with many of these students is not only can it not be outsourced, eventually everybody needs somebody to do their hair. At least most of us do, okay? Eventually. Most of us at some point, even if we cut back on our hair appointments, even if we say, okay, we're in a recession or COVID, whatever, okay, we're going to push our hair appointment an extra month or even 2 months. Eventually, everybody, for the most part, okay, needs a hair appointment. And these students are keen to understanding that. They've already thought about that. They've already thought about whether or not that job could be outsourced. Could it be outsourced overseas? How many places in the United States would be able to accept or use their skill. These students have already thought about it. Let's think about it. How many students are majoring in a subject in college that can easily be outsourced? How many students are majoring in a subject in college that if you were to go to the smallest town in the United States, nobody would need that skill? How many students right now are majoring in college in general in an industry that really has no, and I don't like to sound cruel, but nobody's hiring in it. Okay? These students are ahead of the game. And again, this is through my 8 years of conversation with cosmetology students. These students are ahead of the game when it comes to planning their career. And it's interesting because I've asked them, would you trade this to go to a 4-year school? And I would say straight down the line, no. Most of them would not. And the thing that gives great hope is that they don't feel that they're second-class citizens because they went to cosmetology school. In fact, if you really have a heart-to-heart with them in the stylist chair like I have, they actually think that the ones that go to 4-year schools that are taking out loans that they can't afford, they actually look at them and go, better you than me. I'm sure there's probably even more observations, but the one thing that I really want to note from this video is that, we need to start elevating these students who are learning in ways other than simply the 4-year degree route. We need to start elevating them because we can learn a lot from students that have chosen not to go to college, that have chosen to take a trade route. And here is the thing, most trades, and we think of blue collar jobs and all of that, these cosmetology students have figured this out. You can't ship the job overseas. You just can't. You can't ship your plumber overseas. You can't ship your stylist overseas. These are jobs that need to be done in person. But how many people majoring in college degrees in corporate leaning positions, those jobs could be shipped overseas in a heartbeat? We have some things to learn. And from sitting in the chair as the guinea pig for these cosmetology students, they have helped humble me as far as thinking that I'm all that because I have 2 master's degrees. They've helped humble me in understanding that the way I thought about student loans, not understanding that they run very much like credit cards. They've humbled me in helping me to see that what, we need to start elevating students who decide to study a trade. We need to start elevating them, and we need to start doing it while they are in high school, which could lead to a whole different video, and I won't even go there, okay? But that's what we need to start doing. And sitting with these cosmetology students like I have for 8 years and will continue to do so really has been an eye-opener to me, and it has truly helped shaped and changed in many ways the way I see the predatory, oftentimes lending practices of colleges and how they rope students into believing that this is the only route to success. These cosmetology students are not walking out with 6-figure student loans, okay? And I think the work-to-life balance for them, not only while they're in school, but certainly when they exit the program, the work-to-life balance just seems so much, it seems so much more comfortable. Because again, like I said earlier, we have to remember that not every single student has the ability or the desire, and it's okay to not have the desire. They don't have the desire to study for 4 or 5 years before they can see the end of the tunnel somewhere, and then they're strapped with, debt that is basically the equivalent of a mortgage. These cosmetology students, for the most part, are not in that position. And when I've talked to them about their debt, the one thing that they're absolutely grateful for, the one thing that I can tell you financially, is they feel like they have control of their debt. How many people in college right now, if you don't have parent assistance and you are on your own, Okay, how many people right now do not feel like they have control of their debt? How many people in college right now, if you said to them, what is your college current balance, will tell you, I really don't know. I think it's this. These cosmetology students can tell you what it is. Okay, they can actually tell you, oh, the program's costing me around 10,000. The program's costing me 15, but there's a start and an end. They actually know how much the program is. The dollar bill, the cost of the program is much more clearly defined. So anyways, that's just what I wanted to share. I'm sure there are more lessons that they've taught me, because I do my videos off the top of my head. I don't pre-script my stuff. You guys know that, all right? I like it that way. But we have some things that we can learn from cosmetology students. They've helped me, I think, to reshape the way I see student loans. And I think we need to start elevating people who go into a trade. And I think the people in student loan debt, let's also, another quick point, how many people have got a college degree and aren't even working in what they studied? Okay, these cosmetology students, when they end, they're actually working in what they've studied. And another kicker is some of the older cosmetology students, when I'm talking older, okay, I'm talking like 25 versus 2021, okay, they've already got their business licenses up and going. Like they've already applied. They know exactly where they're going. And that's something a lot of collegiate, 4-year college students don't have yet. Okay. The direction, their path is not quite there yet. And many of them aren't even working in their field that they majored in. These cosmetology students have taught me that they are very gung-ho in the trade that they're learning. They have a very clear direction and path. They are not intimidated by the loans they had to take out because they clearly see the beginning and the end balance. They know exactly where it's going. And this is something that I think all students going to a 4-year college could learn from. And maybe for some of those students that thought the 4-year college was the right route, they may find that that wasn't the right route, and they perhaps would be better off going to a trade, getting done in a 1.5 years and starting from there. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, and we need to start elevating them. So anyways, that's it for this video. I'm Carrie. This is Student Loan Chit-Chat. Thank you for joining me. I do hope you will consider subscribing, and have a great day. Bye.